In preparation for Avengers Endgame, my brother and I watched all of the films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that led up to it, which is all of them, so far. We watched Iron Man back in January and slowly made it through the rest of the films when we could find time to, and miraculously got all the way to watching Captain Marvel in theaters a week before Endgame's release. So, isn't it neat that right after this journey, I find that many of my favorite YouTubers have come together to create a series of videos that highlight their favorite scenes in the MCU, as part of a playlist called One Marvelous Scene, and anyone else that made their own video like this and shared it with Nando V Movies, the organizer of all this, could have their video added as well. I was really happy to see this, because there was one scene out of all 21 Marvel movies that I've watched over the past 4 months that stuck with me more than any of them, and this One Marvelous Scene playlist gives me the perfect outlet to talk about it. I know it's been a while since the playlist was created, but what can I say other than I'm lazy. So I hope Nando will still be accepting videos after Endgame, because it's been a long time since it came out. If he is, I'm grateful, and Nando, if you're watching this,
I'm your biggest fan.
Anyway, enough introduction. The scene that stuck with me so much is this one from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Why are you destroying our chance? Stop pretending you aren't what you are. One in billions. Trillions. Even more. What greater meaning can life possibly have to offer? I don't use my head to fly the arrow, boy. I use my heart. You shouldn't have killed my mom and squished my Walkman.
I love this part so much that I now have to play Fleetwood Mac's The Chain on the jukebox thing at Waffle House every time I eat there with my grandpa. Now, why did this affect me so much? I think it's because it's such a layered scene that revolves around one simple idea: connection. It shows us how Peter Quill is connected with his newfound family, why he's able to connect with them, and why those connections are so important. This scene calls back to a moment earlier in the film, as this isn't the first time we hear the chain in this movie. The first time is when the Guardians team is splitting up after Rocket and Peter have been fighting, and are still pretty on edge with each other. Here, I think it's being used ironically, as the audience is listening to lyrics about never breaking the chain, while we're watching this metaphorical chain not necessarily being broken, but being strained. Fast forward to the second time it's heard, and we know this time that it's true. There's an interview with the Guardians team where they talk about how this song is sort of the heart and soul of the film, as it represents how a true family can never have their bonds between them broken, no matter how much tribulation they go through. Right before the song plays, Yondu yells this to Peter.
I don't use my head to fly the arrow, boy. I use my heart.
Then Peter sees visions of all of his loved ones while staring down his empty-hearted biological father. Here is where he realizes that the secret to unlocking his powers and his true purpose in life is to use his heart, which brings me to my next point. During Ego's monologue in this scene, he asks what greater meaning in life there could possibly be and then to put himself above all others in the universe. And as a Christian myself, I think there's a Bible verse that offers the answer to that. John 15:12. My command is this: love each other as I have loved you. As far as I know, the two members of the Guardians crew that are the most open about their faith are Chris Pratt and James Gunn, with Pratt being a practicing Christian and Gunn having more complex views on spirituality. He's quoted as saying, my personal take is that there's a role for spirituality in some people's lives, and I think that a belief in God can be a good thing for a great amount of people. I do not like any sort of faith or religion that is based on exclusivity, meaning any sort of religion that says you're damned to hell or you're not going to be saved because you don't believe the same thing I do. I believe faith and spiritual belief is a very, very personal thing, and if I started applying what I believe to everybody else, it would be unfair to everybody's individuality, and I really hate that. Now, I'm not saying that Ego is representative of Gunn's religious views or anything, and in fact, I'm not going to guess at all on what Gunn was thinking when writing this. Instead, I'm mainly just going to describe how this speaks to me personally. In my eyes, Ego's God complex is representative of the view of God that many dislike, a cold, unfeeling entity in the distant sky that cares for nothing more than his own, well, ego. Meanwhile, the true God gives us the gift of being able to love each other, and even though he gives many commands, his greatest one is to be good to one another. I've been saying that this scene is all about connections, and love is the key to all those connections. And one symbol of love that's prevalent in the Guardians movies is the music that plays from Peter's Walkman that he got from his mother. This brings me to another interesting way the song The Chain is used here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, every instance of a song from Awesome Mix being played in either of the Guardians movies is diegetic, which means it's something both the characters and the audience can hear. When it starts playing here, it's the first time one of these songs is non-diegetic, meaning only we, the audience, can hear it. As cheesy as it sounds, I think that this is Peter realizing the music is inside him, and by extension, that he doesn't need a tape player to remember his mother's love. She'll always be with him, because she's true family, just like the people he now shares his music with.
You shouldn't have killed my mom and squished my Walkman.
When I first saw this movie, I thought this was a pretty weak sauce line, because I thought it was Peter treating the Walkman as equal importance to his mom. But now what I think he's saying is that Ego has not only taken away someone that truly loved him, but destroyed his last physical reminder of her love. Ego has done himself in, because he forced Peter to realize where his true strength lies, and inadvertently gave him the tools needed to defeat him. You can hear it right in the lyrics of The Chain. Ego thinks he's a god, but he'll never be, because he doesn't love anyone, and never will. My dad once told me something very simple that has stuck with me for a long time since. People are important. It's no accident that I'm mentioning him here, or that I've mentioned my brother, my friends, my grandpa, and even the YouTubers of One Marvelous Scene, because they are important. And that's the essence of not only this scene, but of all of both of the Guardians films. Heck, I'd go so far as to say that's what makes the entire MCU so great. It's lauded for its connections between films, but what really makes it something special is its connections between characters. They're people, and they're important to each other. Just like in real life, families and friends are important to each other. One Marvelous Scene was a great project, because it connected so many YouTubers and fans that love these characters. Both the fans and the YouTubers got to establish a connection with each other over things that they love. And to you who's watching this video, whether you're my friend, my family, or someone I don't even know who I've made a connection with through this, I can still hear you saying, you would never break the chain.